Has lined up my next guest, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to her, Roisin O'Shea. Good morning to you, Roisin. How are you?
Good morning, Aaron.
Are you okay? Can you hear me loud and clear there? You've been waiting patiently to speak to me. You got me there? Yeah?
I can barely hear you, but I can work with that, I hope.
Okay, well, hopefully you will follow up on what was discussed in this programme last week. First of all, Roisin, just to give me a bit of background to who you are and what you do, please.
Absolutely. So, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Not at all a pleasure. Yeah.
I'm a mediator. I'm an adjunct senior lecturer in the School of Law in UCC, and I'm an independent researcher. So why am I talking to you? Myself and a colleague, Dr. Sinead Keneally at FETU, are running a research project which is called the Family Mediation Project, and it's aimed at low-income parents who are in dispute in relation to access, custody, guardianship or child maintenance. And so as part of that research, we decided to go into the district court and see why are parents choosing to sort out their parenting, their child maintenance in the district court, and what's the nature of those disputes. So what we did was we went in, well, first of all, we had to get ministerial consent to go in and observe family law cases because they're held in camera, which means they're in private or in secret. And we got ministerial consent and we published on our findings. One of the restrictions is that we don't identify any case that we've observed, but we can talk about the cases we've seen and we've published on them. So we did that between 2017 and 2019. And that's really what I've come on to talk about this morning, in particular what we saw in relation to parental alienation.
First of all, can you define what it is, please? And when it's not parental alienation, you've got, I've seen a lot of comprehensive website information on this, but no harm to share it again. What is it?
Sure. Perfect. So what we did is, we sort of, when you're doing research, you set out the parameters for the research. So you have to start off with some definitions. So we did identify trends which involved parental estrangement and parental alienation. So we defined parental estrangement as those cases where we saw that there was a conflict between the parents and the family law system itself, so delays, like multiple delays again and again, or the ordering of reports that created delays, and that contributed to the breakdown of the relationship between one parent and a child. Or where estrangement has happened for a good reason, like a parent living abroad or being incarcerated or addiction issues. Yeah. And we then define parental alienation as a situation where we saw in the courtroom the evidence that was given that there was significant conflict between the parents, and a child is encouraged by one parent to align to that parent and reject the other. So that's what we defined as parental alienation. So parental alienation is a definite action by one parent to estrange the child from the other parent.
Right. And do you accept as well, Roisin, that there are occasions when a child will reject a parent for what can be considered as normal reasons, such as findings of fact in relation to neglect or abuse? So there are occasions when the child themselves will reject the parent. Do you accept that?
Well, I'm working 15 years as a mediator, working with thousands of families as well, and I've never come across a child rejecting another parent. I've come across children, first of all, when kids are teenagers, they push back at their parents anyway, and when parents have split up, there's going to be pushback. So pushback is quite different to rejection. Right. And flat rejection without reason, and that's really the key piece. If a child cannot enunciate the reason why they are rejecting the other parent, then that will likely slide into the parental alienation space. I mean, what I can speak to is the research that I've seen. So I think what was really important was we observed 360 cases in 5 districts. So we did Dolphin House in Dublin, Kilkenny, Waterford, Wexford and Carlow. So we went into the district court and we watched 360 cases. 93.5% of those were fathers bringing cases for access. And just over 35% of those cases were where there was multiple breaches of existing access orders, and the primary carer had unilaterally ceased access in breach of the court orders. So when we looked at this kind of parental estrangement versus parental alienation, we saw in 17% of the cases there was parental estrangement. In other words, the case had taken so long to get heard that it had impacted negatively on the relationship between the child and the other parent, usually the father. Yeah. But in almost a third of the cases, where there was access disputes, we heard evidence of parental alienation. That's really high, So, in 40%
and do you know the specific figures for Wexford? You mentioned Wexford there. Have you got those figures for Wexford?
Well, this is a combined figure, but Wexford replicated what we saw in Waterford, Carlow and Dublin. The patterns are the same. The percentages are the same.
Right,
okay. So this is part of the human condition. This isn't sort of isolated behaviours in say a region or a county or the southeast. This is across the board behaviours that we identified.
What will you now do with the findings, Roisin?
Well, we published on them we published between 2019 and 2022 in the Irish Journal of Family Law. We have made presentations to seminars and conferences to try and get this information out. And I think a really important thing to say is that we didn't find that parental alienation was solely gender-based. It is mostly women, mothers, who are engaging in parental alienation, but that's because it is mostly mums who are the primary carer of children.
Mm-hmm.
But we also saw cases where a mother alleged emotional abuse where a child was deliberately alienated from her by the father, who was the primary carer. And in another case, the mother alleged parental alienation where the father was the primary carer of two teenage children who would not see her.
Yeah.
So it's not gender-based behaviour. It is to do with the parent who has the primary custody who has significant animosity for the other parents.
What would you like to see happen now, Roisin?
Sorry, say that again?
What would you like to see happen now? What needs to be done with this? Because this is obviously a big issue, and we've had people contact the programme traumatised by this who've been going through it.
Yeah, and you know what? The court system itself is accelerates. It throws fuel on a fire that's maybe simmering and it ignites it. So what I strongly advocated in 2019, I went in front of a joint Oireachtas Committee advocating for reform, which is actually coming in. We do have a Family Courts Act which prioritises mediation as early intervention. So what we need is to as early as possible, when a relationship breaks down, make it become normal that parents reach out to mediation fast, so that the hatred, the animosity, the anger, the revenge feelings, the frustrations, they don't get out of control if you're in earlier. Like the research around the world shows us that the earlier the support that families get, the less likely we are to find this pattern of behaviour, which is the parental alienation piece.
I have to leave it for the moment. I'd love to come back to you again because this is an ongoing subject that we will focus. Is there anything else you'd like to add urgently and importantly before we conclude for the moment, please?
Well, I think on the positive side, we have two High Court cases that recognise parental alienation. So that's important, the 2011 High Court case and the 2019, because I think there are many parents who are fighting for even that to be recognised. It is recognised by our courts. Now what we have to do is find a way to get people to that support piece much earlier, which is what we're doing in our project. And I'd love to talk to you again at some point.
Absolutely. And you have a very comprehensive website, and I don't mind you mentioning it. Do you want to give it a call, give it a shout out?
The which one, the art mediation one?
Yeah, whichever one that you think people will get more information from. It's up to you, whatever you like.
So we have ARC Mediation. So it's arcmedlaw.com is the website for my practice, and we do publish on this information in the papers.
We'll talk to you again soon, Roisin. Good morning to you now. Thanks for taking our call.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye now. Now, there you have it.